Let's see. I just want to thank everybody for being part of this task force, and it's so great to see so many friends here. And just welcome and thank you for the big job ahead. There's incredible expertise and experience represented in this group. Nashville needs it. And we need coordination among our affordable housing groups. And with all these experts here, let's tap that resources to create a great city. Now, this isn't the first time Nashville has convened a group to study this problem. You've seen plans and you've heard promises before, but the purpose of this task force is to find actionable steps that we can take right now. Now, Nashville's financial challenges are not over. Our next budget will be tight, but we know Nashville needs supply in the affordable housing market, and that's not up for debate. And to use kind of a housing term here, we have to make a meaningful down payment on our affordable housing needs. That starts with this group asking the right questions. What tools do other cities have that could help us? I'm going to need your help in making a case to the legislature. Preserving costs less than creating. What are the most cost-effective ways to both create and preserve affordable housing? And how do we help people locate and access these units more efficiently? These are some of the types of questions that require our focus. And these questions and your solutions will lead to getting this problem under control. And how does this administration make housing central to everything that we do? Because that's important to our community to do that. And how do we recover as a city and grow as a community? And the affordable housing challenge poses difficult questions, but I know this task force will point Nashville towards concrete responses that we can move forward with. And of course, we need to do it with all appropriate speed. So with that, I'll turn this back over to John, but I am grateful to each one of you for here in cyberspace joining this important work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Cooper. Next, I'd like to invite Hannah Davis to say a few words about the scope and mission of this task force.
Hi, everyone. Very happy to see so many of you. As I believe I know most people on this call, I hope everyone has nice holidays and a happy new year. I'm Hannah Davis. I'm the Director of Housing Programs for Mayor Cooper's administration. And I wanted to thank each of you, echo Mayor Cooper's comments. We know how much you all already have on your plate as you're addressing affordable housing throughout our county, and very grateful for your time and your expertise. I'm also really excited about this group because each of you are working in this space every single day, bring a wealth of experience. And so I'm looking forward to you all sort of hashing out some of these questions that we're providing to you so that the recommendations that we come out of this with are really practical and can be implemented in the short term and the midterm. You know, we don't want to just come up with theories of what could be done, but we want to have policy, finance, land use, and access recommendations based on what would actually address the challenges that you're seeing on the ground in your specific area of expertise. So I am out on maternity leave right now, and so that's why I won't be attending all of the meetings. You are certainly in great hands, as I'm sure you've come to see with the folks from our office, Dia and John and Eric Brown, who will be, I think, joining on some calls. But I will be back at the end of February, and I am really looking forward to working with you all as we take the recommendations and move into the implementation phase to actually see your great ideas and your great recommendations come to work in service of our city. So thank you so much. And though I won't necessarily be seeing each of you regularly, I'll certainly keep up to date on the progress. Look forward to digging into these issues in the spring and the rest of the year with you. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks so much, Hannah. I'd like to next turn you all over to the people who'll be running the rest of this meeting and many future meetings. Our co-chairs, Mick Nelson and Edward Henley. Mick and Edward, can you introduce yourselves? And let me make sure that Edward is here as a panelist.
Yes, I'm here. So good evening, everyone. I'm Edward Henley, the founder and principal of Pillars Development. I recognize many of you from past opportunities where we have worked together or served together. And I look forward to getting better acquainted with everyone else here on this call. It's such an esteemed group, and with, very, very adequate experience to tackle our housing needs and challenges. I'm just glad to be placed in a position to be named as chair. Our city has a very integral responsibility of providing housing to those who are in need. And so I'm honored to be named co-chair alongside Mick Nelson. So Mick, I'll let you introduce yourself now.
Thanks, Ed. It's great to see all of you, and many of you I've known for a long time and worked with before. And so it's just, it's a real honor to be playing this role with Ed as facilitator. I think I've been sort of working in and around affordable housing for about 15 years or so. And from the start, I was just learning a lot and doing a lot more learning than I was doing anything else. And I will still say the same is true today. A lot of learning and a lot more learning to be done. And I think this is just a wonderful group of folks that will all be able to learn more together and maybe come up with some really good immediate next steps for the city to help address this housing crisis. Once again, I'm Mick Nelson. I have a little affordable housing consulting and development firm called Nelson Community Partners. And I've been doing this for about 5 years. And before that, I was at the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. And then
maybe they can get somebody to send you something.
And then before that, I was studying housing and community development issues at Vanderbilt University with a couple other people on this call today and part of this task force, which is a real honor to meet you guys again today. So that's it.
Could I interrupt a minute?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Eddie Latimer can't get in. Whatever link he was sent, he's having trouble. If John could resend him the link to let him try again, that would be good. Thank you, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No worries. No, yeah. Eddie is definitely one of the people that known for a long time is going to be a valuable voice in all of this. Ed, am I thinking about this right? That you're going to say a couple more things and I'm going to say another thing, and then we're going to do intros. Am I thinking through that right?
You got it right. And yes, we definitely want to make sure we get Eddie in here. So thanks for that, Kay. That's a welcome interruption. We want to make sure we get everyone on the call. I'll start by saying this. Our city is facing an affordable housing shortage to the extent that it can be considered a crisis. And I use that term really to set a level of importance as well as urgency. Solving this affordable housing shortage will take many partners. And today, all of us play a key part in that solution. Metro and other levels of government, of course, have a key role to play, as do private and philanthropic sectors. Our work together will define a shared understanding of our challenges. Again, while we want to make sure we have everyone here and everyone present and everyone able to lean in, but also in doing so, we'll be prioritizing solutions. We know that we need to maximize our current resources and recommend ways to preserve and produce affordable and workforce housing units to serve the underhoused and the housing burden across all income spectrums and really meet the needs of our city. So as Mick said, we're gonna work to get everyone here on the call better introduced. I'll turn it back over to Mick to get us kicked off.
Thanks, Ed. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go around through the whole group. Let's say it's often helpful to, I didn't think about this before, but it's often helpful to have an order up front. But when we do, John, I'm going to let you think about the best way we can run through this. But what we're going to do in our introductions is We'd probably like to keep it less than 2 minutes a person, given the amount of people and the amount of time we have on the call today. But introduce yourself and your organization. But also one of the things we came up with as a sort of starting point icebreaker, as well as setting us on the right track for the future, is to say a little bit about what you believe or you think you can bring this to add to this committee, what you bring to this community, and help us get to that solution. So basically, what do you bring to the table that can help us solve this affordable housing shortage that the city is facing? I guess if I'm asking y'all to do it, I should do it myself. I think, I'm not sure if I'm right about this, but I think one of the things that I can bring to the table is having worked in a little bit in the academic world, a little bit in the government world, worked with a lot of nonprofits and in the private sector. I think I'm pretty good at translating across different people. And I think that's the thing that I try and do. And if there's anything I've got to add, it might be that. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. And John, I know I just threw you on the spot right there, but if you have an idea about how we should sequence it so everyone knows the order to go in.
Yeah, I'm happy to call on people. Why don't we start out? I'll call on Angie Hubbard. Would you step up first? Keeping everyone on their toes with an unpredictable
Thank
calling.
you. Thanks for including me in this group. I'm very honored and glad to be part of it. I'm Angie Hubbard. I am the Director of Economic and Community Development for the Greater Nashville Regional Council. And at GNRC, we serve the 13-county northern Middle Tennessee region, with Davidson pretty much as our center and obviously our largest city. I've been at GNRC for a little over 2 years. Prior to that, I spent 10 years at MDHA, where I was the Director of Community Development. So what I bring to the table, building on both of my experiences at MDHA as well as at GNRC now, is having been in a development role, having helped on projects that MDHA actually built, as well as overseeing a lot of grant programs for affordable housing, community development, and homelessness. So what I bring to a table is a deep understanding of a lot of resource needs to undertake affordable housing development, not only just in building and preserving it, but sometimes with some of the services and other things that are required to make housing successful for especially our most vulnerable populations. I also have a deep understanding of a lot of the regulatory requirements that are tied to some of our federal grant programs that seem to make developing housing a little bit inefficient because of a lot of the red tape. So hopefully I can help explain some of that and help unravel it. I also bring to the table a regional context of how housing in Nashville affects what's happening throughout the region, and how that in turn projects back on perceptions of housing, how housing is being undertaken. So hopefully I can share some of those perspectives with you too. So thank you very much. Again, I'm honored to be part of this task force.
Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you. Edward, do you, as one of the co-chairs, do you want to answer this question as well? We put Mick on the spot, but I let you escape.
No, absolutely. I know I've talked a lot already. I'll work to be succinct. In my experience working with the city, I think honestly having a really good relationship and understanding what it has to, what it means to take on some large undertakings, to develop some large projects for the city, and the level of collaboration needed to really make those things success. But also on a more community-based scale, micro scale, as a developer, I've been working to both preserve as well as create affordable housing, both in the nonprofit sector as a board member for several different organizations, and then in the private sector as a developer myself, and having had several conversations and faced many challenges in trying to create those ever elusive affordable units that we'll be talking a lot more about in these upcoming weeks. Again, really bringing perspective from across the spectrum, and then also leveraging my network, both internal to my team, but also just across the city, gathering more information, being able to do exactly what we'll ask of you all to do, which is leverage your network and be a representative, be one that speaks for 1,000. And so I feel very comfortable in doing that and having done that for a long time. And I'm excited for the heavy lift that we have in front of us to roll up my sleeves and get to work.
Thank you so much. Ms. Arche, are you on this call? I saw you earlier. Would you like to speak next?
Well, I'm excited too. I'm so happy and honored to be part of this task force. I've been working with the community as a community development officer for many years, teaching home buyers education classes, knowing firsthand the necessities of the people, especially at this time where it's so hard for low-income people to buy a house. I have good negotiation and mediation skills. I have overseen many programs with the core system, with the district attorney system, with the civil court, Human Rights Commission, Catholic Charities. I can bring a lot of working with all kind of budget, knowing that they have and going to the right sources to help them out.
Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you as part of this group. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you so much. I'm Berkeley Allen. I'm on the Metro Council now as an at-large council member, past chair of both the Planning and the Affordable Housing Committee. And I think those bring important perspectives to this group. I think one thing that both council members Soar and I will be able to offer is changing laws if we need to at the local level. I have was a sponsor of the Barnes Fund legislation that created the Barnes Fund, worked with Hunter Nelson on our inclusionary zoning bill, which unfortunately is currently not an option for us, but it did also lead to the creation of the Housing Incentive Pilot Program, which is working and is a good example if we can figure out a way to scale it up. And also passed legislation to expedite getting affordably priced housing through the codes process, and we continue to work on that one. So my next focus, I hope, is with the support of this group, is to figure out other ways to use the pilot tax abatements for affordable housing beyond what we're currently limited to. So if there's a local law that needs to be changed, I am ready for this group to help us figure out what it is and get going on that.
Thank you so much. Mr. Alexander. Amel, are you on this call?
I am here. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can.
Sure. Emil Alexander, I'm the Director of Community Development here at MDHA. Our department oversees community planning and development funds allocated to Nashville from HUD. Prior to joining MDHA, I ran a nonprofit housing and community development agency for over 10 years. So I bring knowledge of HUD resources that are available to tackle the affordable housing challenges, but also experience as a practitioner working to build needed affordable housing for families who need it the most. As an employee here at MDHA, I also hope to be able to connect this group to some of the efforts and resources available here at MDHA and some of the work we're doing to improve affordable housing here in Nashville.
Thank you so much. We're so glad to have you as part of this group. Mr. Barrett. Good evening.
Yes, I'm Dwayne Barrett. I'm a tax attorney with Reno and Kavanaugh, which is a law firm of about 40 attorneys with a national practice in affordable housing. We work with developers, housing authorities, private and nonprofits all across the country. I've been working in the area of developing affordable housing, particularly multifamily, residential, utilizing low-income housing tax credits since 1996. I'm not really sure what I bring to the table here other than I'm fortunate enough to work with a number of developers in the Middle Tennessee area who are very good at what they do. And the reason is that they're very creative in coming up with strategies to address problems and move forward with their development. And I'm just part of that team.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bowers. Can you hear me, Kay?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry. I'm Kay Bowers, and hello, everyone. I've worked in the affordable housing industry space for over 28 years, both in rural and urban settings. The last 14 years, I've been in Nashville. I recently, quote unquote, supposedly retired as executive director of New Level Community Development Corporation. So I have experience both as a practitioner on the ground, but I also worked with other colleagues to help get the Barnes Fund stood up and worked on different pieces of legislation at the council level here in Nashville. Currently, I serve on the board of directors of MDHA Board of Commissioners, and I'm also the co-chair of the Affordable Housing Task Force for the advocacy group called NOAA.
Thank you for being a part of this. We're very appreciative. Mr. Claxton, are you still with us?
I am. Good evening, everybody. My name is Greg Claxton. I'm with the Metro Planning Department. I've been here since 2012. When I got here, I helped to lead the Nashville Next general planning process for about 3 years. Currently, I manage the Planning Department's Advanced Planning and Research Division, which is a small group that we recently formed. We have our department demographer on team. We also oversee the annual creation of the city's capital improvements budget. I think as a representative of the planning department, I think I have a slightly unusual role in this group. Since the state preempted the inclusionary housing program and other housing bonuses tied to affordable housing, we've been forced to interpret that as saying that essentially the commission can't take affordability into account when considering zone changes or other regulatory tools. So we're in kind of a weird position where we think it's something that's absolutely critical. It came 100% out of the public engagement we did for Nashville Next, but we feel like for the core of what so much of what the Planning Commission does, we can't take it into account. And we don't, control any of the funds or sort of other tools that Metro has. So one of the things I've been thinking through over the past 3 years is trying to really think through kind of what role the city plays in kind of managing the overall supply of housing. We don't build it, we don't finance it. We just are kind of at the key intersection of the public and property owners and developers where they engage and sort of think through what should be built where. And so we've been trying to take seriously kind of how the overall housing market is working, how it's failing to work, how so much of what comes through our department and our commission relates to lower income housing, affordable or workforce. And so I'm hoping that I can help connect kind of what this team does to the Planning Commission's work, as well as to the resources that our research division has. And I'm absolutely happy to help on this. I think it's critically important, and I'm ready to go.
Thank you so much. Dr. Coleman, did we get you into the panelist queue?
Yes, I am in the panelist queue. I'm Paulette. There's an incredible feedback. I'm not sure why.
Are you logged on 2 devices, Dr. Coleman?
No. Possibly. Anyway, I'm Paulette Coleman. I am a member of the Affordable Housing Task Force of NOAA and a commissioner with MDHA. I think among the things I bring to the table are translating sometimes complex issues around affordable housing to grassroots community organization, and then mobilizing those communities to support. I'm going to stop because the feedback is driving me nuts.
We're so sorry for that, but so glad you're part of this.
Dr. Coleman, do you have external speakers or anything like that that might be close to the mic? Because sometimes it doesn't filter it out and it just creates the feedback loop that way.
I'm not sure. No, I don't. I had a hard time getting in, so I was on the phone and here, and I thought I'd silence them all.
We will work this out going forward, Dr. Coleman. I apologize for the feedback on this one. Mr. Crawford, are you on the panel?
Yes. President and CEO of the Housing Fund. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. I've been with the Housing Fund for over 3.5 years now. I mean, time flies when you're having fun. And it's good to see a lot of you who we have worked very closely with on previous task force. So this is great that we are re-engaging around this conversation because we know it's needed a great deal. What I bring to the table are a number of things. One is expertise in lending, community development, and nonprofit management. I have a good understanding of lending products and how to mobilize resources. I have a strong commitment, and we ensure that the Housing Fund as a whole has a commitment to ensuring diversity and equity as a critical component of housing and communities, making sure that resources get to diverse organizations, providing a sense of equity across the board, and making sure that those communities from very diverse populations are also a critical component of being able to build and preserve affordable housing. As a leader of a CDFI, a community development organization, I hope that we can connect and utilize the CDFI fund and the resources that have been designated by the previous administration going forward, because there are a number of resources out there that I think the city could utilize and be able to leverage. And finally, I think a great component of this is my ability to be able to leverage those resources and garner other resources through financial institutions, through corporations, and with other nonprofit organizations as well. So again, I thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you so much for being part of this group. Mr. Dean, are you with us?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to call my second half of my career, splitting my time as an owner-operator of a resort an hour east of the Nashville airport, and the balance of time focused on social justice issues. I'm an active member of NOAA's Affordable Housing Task Force, and in 2019 had the privilege of leading a pro bono consulting engagement that was focused on affordable housing in Nashville, and enabled me to get out and meet many of you and many of the key players and on this issue. It helped to really broaden my horizons and enable me to facilitate a planning process for NOAA that I think has been fruitful, help define the problem and frame up potential solutions. This is clearly an all hands on deck situation. Nashville and the mayor are facing a number of challenges around COVID and setting up the city for financial success. But stepping back from all that, we are a prosperous city, and I believe that we have it in us to make significant progress and be a national leader on this issue. And it would be a thrill to work with this group to make that happen. I'll leave you with this one thought, that there's some obstacles at the state legislature level that are really important barriers to success for us around inclusionary zoning and dedicated funding that's been diverted away from affordable housing. And it would be my hope that we could factor that reality into a plan to move the needle at some point in probably the midterm, not the short term, but that's an important element of the solution here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Emmanuel.
Hi, I'm Gina Emmanuel. I'm a principal at Centric Architecture, and I'm chairing the Housing Trust Fund Commission this year. I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of you and learning from a lot of you over the last few years on that commission. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts here. What I think I can bring is, as an architect, I do a lot of work with land use and zoning policy. We look at a lot of other cities, we work in other cities, and I believe that zoning can really have a large impact on what we're doing with affordability in the city. The Housing Trust Fund Commission and the Barnes Fund really focuses on 60 to 80% AMI, as it should. I think there's a lot the city can do to really help that fund be as effective as it can be. And then I think for some of the other things that we're looking at, it would be great to see how different zoning policy could help enable more affordability.
Thank you so much for all the work you're doing and for being a part of this group. We're really appreciative. Mr. Haight, are you on this call, Jeremy?
Yes.
Wonderful.
My name is Jeremy Haight. I'm the Director of Industry and Governmental Affairs, a division at the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. Our primary responsibility is working with the General Assembly, as well as our local government partners, and knowing that that's going to be a question and an issue I'm expecting. That's one of the things that I can bring to the table. I've been in Nashville for over 20 years now. First came to town as a reporter for the Business Journal, was an editor at the City Paper, and worked at the Tennessean covering business and development across the community. So I know Nashville fairly well, or at least I like to think so. And I've worked with the state government now for about 15 years. And it's been a wonderful place to be, and I'm looking forward to helping bring some of THDA's programs to bear on anything that you guys identify, as well as reaching out and being a bridge to some of our state housing finance agency partners in other states, as well as our national memberships with some of the groups that are vital and pursuing affordable housing very diligently at the national level.
We're so grateful to have you as a partner and your participation in this. Thank you for being part of this task force, and you have one of the cuter assistants helping you with this project. So we're glad to get all the help we can get from your family. Thank you. Mr. Lane, are you on this call? I think I see you on the list.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can. I believe you may be logged on two devices simultaneously, Mr. Lane. I see you coming up twice.
And I've been working trying to figure out my problem, and I'm having difficulty trying to figure out what's happening.
If you're on two devices, you might be, if you could maybe shut down one, we'll try to keep you on. But I defer to Wesley on this. He's got more experience on this reverb effect than I do.
No, that's exactly the best thing to do. Okay, it looks like he had just shut himself down off of one, so it should be cleared up now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Sounds much better. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm still having problem with the video. But just briefly, I'm the owner, principal broker for ABL Realty Services. Been in business now for approximately 30 years. And I have worked very closely with 4 nonprofits in affordable housing in the North Nashville area. And I'm a firm believer in, I see affordable housing as a critical issue not only in Nashville, but around the country. And I think that there are other cities that have done better than we have done in Nashville in terms of, number one, the amount of money the city itself have put into, for example, the bond fund to be used by nonprofit for affordable housing. I think the last time I checked, we were somewhere around 10 million. And when I look at a city like Austin, who are putting in 50 million, then it says that we really haven't become serious about, dealing with affordable housing here. But anyway, I'm glad to participate and hopefully can contribute, because being in the real estate business, the affordable housing is a critical issue that is affecting us here and will continue to affect us.
Thank you very much. We're glad to have you as part of this group. Ms. Jarman. Let's see, are you on this call, Ms. Jarman? Ah, yes, there you are.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I am Kia Jarman. I run a boutique communications and community engagement firm. We're really focused on inclusive and strategic communications and engagement with the community. Essentially, I do the people things. So ensuring that there is cultural and historical context on a process, making sure that the design team understands how people vision for themselves in a community process, thinking about how art integrates into a process, all of those type of things that people really are interested in as they look to build community, because people build community, right? Developers build buildings. And so I work to ensure that we think about the affordable living, the holistic approach to how people are able to integrate. As it relates to what I present into this process, I believe I've heard this a few times, being a translator of content and context for a variety of groups. I say the intersection, so age, ability, gender, ethnicity, orientation, denomination, any of those intersections that you have, I look to help you represent that in a process, making sure that we ask the question, so this is what I'll leave us with, who are we making a decision on behalf of that is not in the decision-making process? Thank you, and I'm so honored to be a part of this process.
Thank you. Mr. Latimer.
Eddie Latimer, I've been doing this for about 30 years. I'm with Affordable Housing Resources. We basically are a developer. We put sticks and bricks together. Y'all may not know this. There's 7 nonprofits in Nashville who 24/7, 365 days a year, all they do is put sticks and bricks together. We're one of those. We also are CDFI. We're one of the largest mortgage lending CDFIs in the entire Southeast. We do a lot of lending, all to people under 80%. All of our homes are sold to people under 80%. We do home buyer ed. We've done a lot of that. We've had about 19,000 people go through our courses over the 30 years. And then we are currently involved with the rental assistance program in partnership with MDHA. And we were in partnership with United Way, but that money has been spent out. We've helped about 250 people avoid eviction through the rental assistance, which has been a great program through the CARES Act. And I know a bunch of y'all. We've partnered with most of you over the years, and this will be an interesting committee. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Ms. Mann.
So come off mute. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Well, I'm Lethea Mann. I am a native of Nashville. I moved back to Nashville in 2002. So I've witnessed the skyrocket growth of land values and am really shocked. Currently, I'm a community development manager at Regions Bank, managing our partnership with nonprofit and profit organizations that serve low to moderate income residents. So I serve on the Habitat Board, Residential Resources, and with Dismas House. So I have a direct relationship with some of the clients that they serve and have heard their stories. So I believe I can bring direct information from some of the concerns and challenges that low to moderate income residents face in trying to obtain housing in Nashville. And I appreciate the opportunity to bring a little bit of knowledge that I've gained from working with these nonprofit organizations to help the task force address our affordable housing crisis. Thank you.
We very much appreciate your service. Mr. Nelson.
There we go. Hi, I'm Hunter Nelson. I work for a company here in town called Elmington Capital. I head up our affordable housing development. We are currently developing in 4 states and have, I guess, developed around 7,000 units of affordable housing in the past 5 years. And I'm looking forward to adding whatever I can to this board that we find helpful.
Thank you so much. Ms. Osman.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Osman. I am an architect and the Design Initiatives Manager with Urban Housing Solutions. UHS is a nonprofit affordable housing provider. We focus on multifamily rental, and we develop, own, and manage about 1,400 apartments around the city, working exclusively in Nashville-Davidson County. I came to Nashville and to UHS in 2017 as an Enterprise Rose Fellow, which I think one of the greatest values was having that national connection to folks working on similar issues in different cities and different communities. So I think one of the things I bring is that perspective of what's worked in other places and what might be able to happen here. I, as a fellow, was also jointly hosted by the Nashville Civic Design Center, largely focused on the kind of public awareness and education about the importance of housing and how it happens here in Nashville and what we can do better. So I think that's also something that I hope to bring, those tools and strategies for engaging the public. Because as somebody said, it's an all hands on deck issue. So that involves our neighbors as well. And looking forward to being part of this group.
Thank you so much. Dr. Shen.
Hi, my name is Beth Shin. I teach at Vanderbilt University in the Community Research and Action program, and I do research on how to prevent and end homelessness. I sit on Nashville's Homeless Planning Council and also on the Research Council for the National Alliance to End Homelessness. And I've been doing research on how to prevent and end homelessness for the last 3 decades. People have been talking about housing that's affordable to folks at 60 to 80% of area median income. The folks I want to make sure we include are way below that 30%, 20% of area median income. And so I think I bring to this council or this task force some familiarity with the research that shows what works to end homelessness, both nationally and internationally for different groups. And I'm just grateful that the perspective of people who are really at the bottom of the income distribution is included. Thank you.
Thank you for being part of this group, Dr. Shen. Councilmember Suara.
Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be part of this group. I look forward to all that this group will be doing. I'm council member at large, got elected in 19. I'm also currently the chair of the Affordable Housing Committee for Metro Council, being part of a number of legislation to help that process and still working on some more. What do I bring to this group? Like my colleague said, we will be able to able to help with policy. Most of what we're going to do here will require some legislation to make it work, and being that connection to the council, it's going to be very helpful. The other thing that I bring to the table is access to the constituents, as well as to our colleagues that are hearing from people on the ground. What are people thinking? What do people need? I think that's going to be very crucial. Also, as a member of the Minority Caucus, the issue of diversity is very crucial. How do we make sure that access is for everyone? How do we make sure there's equity? And not just in the housing itself, but in the business of providing housing? How do we make sure we have minority developer? How do we make sure also that in building affordable housing, we're not promoting concentrated poverty in areas, whereas all the affordable housing is in certain part of the city, and that neighborhood become just for poor people only? How do we do that? How do we distribute evenly? So all of that is what I hope I can bring to the conversation and help with. So thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Ms. Thaden.
Hi, I'm the Vice Chair of Housing for MDHA. We are the only public housing agency in the country that has converted all of our public housing through the RAD demonstration program. What that means is that we are committed to redeveloping our public housing areas into mixed income, mixed use, with the prioritization on existing residents to ensure that they are the ones who are able to thrive. I think it's really innovative work, and I'm very proud of what MDHA is doing, but we need more resources to get that work done. I'm also the chair of Shelter Force Media, which is a nonprofit independent media outlet that covers all things innovative and policy related and organizing related and affordable housing and community development. And my day job is as the Director of National Policy and Sector Strategy for Grounded Solutions Network. We are a national nonprofit membership organization of nonprofits and local governments that are all committed to, when they create affordable housing, they ensure that it stays permanently affordable. And so a large part of our work related to that is actually doing a lot of advising and consulting to cities across the country on equitable land use strategies and affordable housing tools. So I think one of the big things that I bring to the table is that I get to do work on all different, federal to local policy levels. And I really have been able to track from different cities' perspective, innovations and policy, as well as financing and fund development.
Thank you all. We are so grateful for your service. We're all really excited about the work ahead and about the expertise of this group. If you could see the list of attendees, you'd see many people from the mayor's office listening in on this phone call, and that's a measure of our excitement around this group and the work ahead. You've also been wonderfully efficient in your introductions, a great sign. In fact, I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, Dia Cirillo, and ask her to wrap this meeting up by talking about next steps and what will take place at our next meeting. A housekeeping note, it seems that this Thursday at 5 o'clock slot is a good slot for most of you. We are going to, if that is indeed the case, we will stick with it and try to meet as the committee as a whole all together for the first couple of meetings. We may break out into working groups at some future date. If this is a bad time for you, please email me to let me know. I can, of course, create complicated doodle polls and look for other times, but I'm going to cross my fingers that this might work for all of us. And with that, I'd like to turn things over to Dia and have her talk about next steps.
Thanks, John. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, co-chairs and members of the task force, especially our honorable members of the City Council. As we look to next week, there is a homework assignment. It will be very important for you to take a look and review the questions that I know some of you already have because we received comments on this, but to review Mayor Cooper's questions and checklist, because it really gives insight into sort of focal points that Metro Nashville is looking at right now. But importantly, next week, what we'll be doing is having a conversation to really engage you and your expertise and experience in the creation and preservation and coordination of affordable housing and its associated resources. To really look at what are the obstacles that stand in the way in these 4 areas of finance, access, land use, and policy. So come to the table with your thoughts. We really need to be looking at some of those really high priority obstacles. We value information and data. There will be opportunities to look deeper and more broadly into some of these obstacles. But next week is really going to focus on priorities. All good meetings end early. On that note, as you think about that homework assignment, I want to leave you with a final note on housekeeping. If by Monday of next week you do not have a link for the Thursday meeting at 5 p.m., please notify John, because we will not know that you do not have that link. So we thank everybody for your time this evening and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks so much, everyone. See you next Thursday.
Thank you.
Onward and upward.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, dear.
Okay, goodbye.